Imagine for a moment your pits smelling like nothing. You don't stink after you work out. Your teenager's foot odor doesn't exist. How is this possible? It's Lumi! Challenge Lumi to keep you funk-free for 72 hours. Go to uglytruth.com/Lumi. You can pick your favorite smell, the favorite type of applicator or stick or tube or wipe, and you will be amazed by your non-smelly body. uglytruth.com/Lumi. Welcome to The Ugly Truth. This is episode 537. What? We're recording on Friday the 13th.
Oh!
I know.
I didn't even think about that.
I know. It's crazy. It's like my favorite day.
What?
Well, it's funny because every time Daryl...
I didn't know you were so dark. You and your zombie shows.
I woke up this morning.
Slasher movies.
And he's like, God, your episode. I'm like, yeah, I know. And, talking about whatever. And he goes, hey, it's Friday the 13th. I'm like, oh my God, it is? He goes, yeah. I'm like, oh, I love it. And so, because my first very favorite horror film was Friday the 13th.
Totally.
The very best. It's the first. It was a classic.
Still good.
The mother scared the shit out of me.
Yeah.
The
God,
gore, the slashers, the stuff, all the stuff. And I was like, I'm hooked. I'm absolutely hooked. And so from that point on, that was the movie that put me on my track of loving horror films.
Right.
And according to my son, that is why he likes horror films, because he goes, you told me that the best horror film was Friday the 13th. So when he was 11, he went and watched it. I don't know how. I wouldn't have let him do it. But he said I did. And I'm like, I would never have let you watch that at 11. But maybe I did. And I just don't remember.
No, I can't believe that.
I know, but he swears. I said, maybe I told you about it. And then you and your dirty little friends went and found it and watched it. But there's no way that I said, here, sit, enjoy. I would never have done that.
You know what's so funny is last night, it just reminded me.
What?
My son told me that he was scared. And I'm like, what are you scared of? And he's like, I don't know, like murders and stuff. I'm like, really? I'm like, why would you be? He goes, because you watch those shows, Mom. I go, but I never, because if I'm watching like Discovery ID, and he comes in the room, I'm like, you can't watch this. It's almost over. I'm like,
get out!
Yeah. Or I'll watch him in my room.
Yeah.
He,
but he can hear it, maybe?
Well, he said, you watch him so loud because I'm deaf, of course. And I get so into him. I'm like, it's so intense. And then I'm like, so he's like, and I can hear them and they're scary. And I'm like, and they are. I watched the most horrible one yesterday about a boyfriend who murdered his wife and her 6-year-old.
Ew, no.
And it was so detailed that the homicide detective, when he was telling the story, he was like choking up.
Oh my
crying,
God.
And it was bad. I was like, oh, it was awful.
I hate people.
I do too.
And
this guy, I was really hoping he was going to, because they don't tell you until the very end what happens to the person who did it.
Okay.
Sometimes it ends, a lot of times those end in suicide.
Of course they do, because they're chicken shits.
Right. And I was like, you know what, I'm going to be...
I don't want to pay the price.
Yeah, and this one I'm not so sure that I'll be upset if that's what he ended up doing.
Yeah, just get off the planet is fine by me, but it would have been nice if you could have, rotted in a jail cell for a little bit.
Right. Well, he did.
Oh, good.
So I was pleased.
That's good. Better than nothing.
He's so disgusting that I'm like, you know what? You could have been dead and it probably would have been fine.
It would have been fine with me if you had offed yourself, but he liked himself too much.
Yeah.
So, pig.
Monster.
Anyway, yeah, so it's Friday the 13th. Jason Voorhees Day, and for me, and I'm like, God, I wonder
if they're having a marathon.
I hope
they usually do.
I'm totally gonna watch. I check in on them, and Daryl's always like, "What are you watching?" And I'm like, "I'm watching my show, Friday the 13th. It's Friday the 13th." And he's like, "I don't know how you can even like those shows." I'm like, "I don't know. How can you watch fucking Back to the Future 100 times a day?"
Oh God,
like,
I can't.
Same thing. Same thing. I just can't.
I can't.
No. Okay, in addition to...
Not that I hate, by the way, I don't hate that movie.
No, I don't hate it either, but I could literally have been in it at this point. Like, I could have assumed a role and done real well at this point.
Yeah, you know the script. I know a few of them.
Honestly. In fact, I keep, you know what? And I always catch myself. So, like, because I don't allow him any joy, apparently. And so I came downstairs yesterday for something. I came downstairs. Oh, it was after the marathon call. I came downstairs, so it was already kind of surly. I turn and look, and he's watching Tron. And I'm like, and I
the new one or the old one?
The new one. And I turned and I'm like, ugh. I'm like, immediately, I'm like.
And then they grab the remote. They're like, what? You can watch whatever you want.
And then he goes, are you going to be watching TV? Here's the out. And I'm like, no, I'm not. I don't. Just enjoy your life.
That's me.
God, I feel like an asshole.
I'll walk in and Jerry's watching, Chasing Classic Cars with,
Jay
it's like the ultimate. No, yeah.
Oh, I don't know.
It's a show just like that, but it's different, and it's literally the ultimate old man.
They're
show.
all the same,
kind of in some way. And I'm like, is this a rerun? Have we already seen this? Because seriously,
does he retort with, "Have you watched all the murders that have occurred in the world, or is there new ones for you to watch?"
No, because he's like Daryl. He wouldn't dare. He's just like, here, change it. Put whatever you want. Like anything to avoid a confrontation.
God forbid. I know.
Because if he even starts down that path, it's going to end ugly.
I have so many shows that I've banked on my DVR that Daryl has zero interest in watching.
Yeah, me too.
And the thing is that
the DVR is mine.
Me too, basically. And
There's literally nothing
if I go upstairs to try to settle in and watch, because I have so many banked, I could be up here for 5 hours.
Right, me too.
Right? And then suddenly he'll come up at 8:00. Hey, just checking on you. Do you want any food? Are you eating? What are you doing up here? I'm like, I'm watching shows. He's like, all right.
Yeah, Jerry will walk in and he'll sit down. Like, while I'm watching The Real Housewives of Beverly Hills, so I pause and I'm like, yes.
I do that too.
He's like, what? I'm like, you don't want to watch this, and I don't want to hear your stupid comments about how dumb it is.
Get out! That's exactly what I do.
I'm like, God, I can't enjoy anything. I'm like, fine, I'll just watch it later. And then I'm like, mad. He's like, well, God, fine, I'll leave.
I just don't. What's funny is like usually what 20 years affords you is the understanding that these things are not acceptable anymore.
No.
That's the reward of 20 years together is they know and that they just leave you alone.
I'm gonna start my period like any day.
Oh boy.
And I kind of forgot, but then I realized I'm like, God, that's why I'm so angry. And
yeah.
I haven't seen Jerry in 2 days. He's been in the garage.
He's hiding. He's like, it's coming.
He has been watching Bar Rescue in the garage for days.
For days.
And I'm fine with it.
Oh, God, that's so funny. I know. I think
he walks in the house, I'm like, yes.
Do you want to know how bad my PMS is as well? Okay, so this week, at some point, I turned to Daryl and I said, I have been craving sugar because I haven't been eating a lot of it. I said, I've been craving sugar for quite some time. I go, and I'm having these weird cravings. Like I was craving pickles, then I was craving chocolate but I was so specific. I thought I was pregnant. I was like, I want grocery store cake, but I want it to be chocolate, and I want white grocery store icing.
Oh, wow.
And even with little flowers would be great, because then I can eat the flour. He's like,
which is solid sugar.
He's like, okay. So he literally went to the grocery store.
And found it?
They didn't have anything, and he sent me a photo.
Did he go to Rayleigh's?
Yeah, but it was like 9:00 at night. So he goes and he takes a photo of a tres leche cake and a birthday cake that is birthday vanilla with the sprinkle cake.
Yeah.
Okay,
I've done that in a pickle,
but it's not chocolate. And so he goes, "This is all they have." I go, "Why are you showing this to me? I don't want any of these things."
Yeah, no, I told you.
I go, "Are there cupcakes maybe?" And he's like, "No, there's no cupcakes." I'm like, "Okay, fine." I said, "You know what? I'm sorry." And so he goes, "Well, there's a chocolate on chocolate cake." And I'm like, I don't really want chocolate icing because it's not the same.
It's too much for me.
Well, he bought it.
I mean, I'll eat it, but I probably wouldn't eat the icing.
I took a piece, and I'm like, this isn't doing it for me. And I'm like, God, when did I become... I'm like, whatever. When you have a craving, it has to be the thing, right?
Right.
So the next day, we had to go back to the grocery store for other stuff.
You found it.
No, they had cupcakes, though, that were in the freezer section.
Oh.
They freeze them. And so, because that way they last.
Bel Air?
Yeah, my Bel Air.
Yeah,
yes. So I said, oh, look, they have them. So I said, now, this could be the buttercream that's not the cake buttercream because it's a little bit oilier or thicker. I said, but they look pretty legit. So I bought them.
They weren't gluten-free, were they?
I bought a 24-pack of chocolate cupcakes with the white. Well, actually, I said, these are probably it. And Daryl went and just grabbed it and put them in the basket. And I said, okay, I guess we're getting. So we get home. I take one. And I'm like, no, this is exactly what I want.
Yes, perfect.
So I had 2 of them.
Yum.
And then that night, I had a third. And I said, you know what? We can't have these.
Put these in the garbage and squirt Dawn on them.
That's what I usually do. Is I put soap on them and I put them in the garbage so I can't eat it. It was the one thing I learned from Sex and the City.
Right?
And
Best
so
thing ever.
It was brilliant. And so
when I saw Miranda do that, I'm like, brilliant.
I'm doing it, and I always do. By the way,
because
always
you're absolutely,
you know what?
Can't eat it.
There's not one woman alive who hasn't gotten in the garbage and eaten a piece of cake. You better believe that every woman out there is like, you know what? It hasn't touched anything, and it's in the bag. So.
I know it's in the garbage because I started putting the first thing in.
Then you start reasoning with yourself that you can eat it because you're the only one that does anything.
The only thing in there was the paper towel I used to dry my hands, and that is not dirty.
And I'm a clean person. I'm eating this cake.
It was right after I scrubbed them, so.
Yes, exactly. So you have to put Dawn liquid soap on it or you'll eat it. And so anyway, I said, that's it. So I grabbed the thing and I put it back in the freezer. And I'm just
so
like,
you don't have to look at them.
Stay. And they're in the big freezer. So yesterday I'm like, oh, I'm just going to get one. I'm like, I'm going to have to throw them away.
See, that's why you can't buy the 24
I don't
pack.
want to throw them away though, because they're great in a pinch. I'm like, if I really want this, I can just go out there and go, I'm eating one.
You just have to remind yourself.
And it has to thaw. So
true. Once they're gone though, be like, the next time you think about buying them, be like, remember the last time I bought 24 of these?
Don't do that again.
Don't do it.
So I'm standing there and I turn and I look at him and I stand up from the couch and I was going to do something. I look at him and I go, I think I'm PMSing. And he's like, really? Why? And I go, because a commercial made me cry. And that's usually the biggest clue.
Me too.
Is that commercials make me cry. And suddenly I'm like, why am I so moved? And I'm like, okay, Jamie,
this
stop.
is so dumb. I know, right?
God, I hate myself. You know, it's so
too.
stupid. But anyway, in addition to all of those things, your son went back to school full time.
He did.
This week.
Well, yeah, he one day. It's been one day.
One day it happened.
It just
had
started.
a little freedom to focus on work without.
Yeah.
Screaming.
Well, so I did. I have.
How did he do? Is he glad to be back?
Yes.
Oh, thank God.
He saw all of his friends.
Oh my God. I think I would have started crying.
Yeah. We weren't really sure because we went to the meet and greet the day before.
Oh, yeah. You got your popsicle?
Yes, we did. It was a little weird because we weren't allowed. Jeff was allowed to go in the classroom, but I wasn't.
Okay.
So I had to stand in the doorway while he went and there was no one else in there. Literally, the teacher was standing outside and there were no other students.
So he got to walk in and tour the room and...
Yeah, which is why I didn't understand. She's like, well, parents aren't technically supposed to go in. And I'm like, it's me and him. Like, there's literally no one in here.
Yeah, he's like, what do you think I'm going to do? Pee on things?
Well, I don't know. Yeah, and I'm like,
all
by
over
the
the
way,
place.
I'm vaccinated, but okay.
Yeah, but you think I'm going to sneeze on all the desks?
You know what? I'm sure they were just being extra cautious.
They're probably trying to establish protocol so that when the school starts, women don't go barging in. They're going, excuse me,
like
Mrs.
we normally
Jones.
do. Yeah.
I need to talk to you.
Get in their cubbies and grab their stuff for them like we parents do. Yeah,
right.
so
I get it.
He went and he found his little seat, and we really liked his classroom.
Good.
And he was scanning the other seats with the name tags on them to see. He didn't recognize anybody. I'm like, well, you know what? You'll find out. And because pandemic was... You had options of how you wanted your kids to learn. You could do Zoom. You could do homeschool.
Right.
You could do... There's independent study. So a lot of the kids, when school ended, we didn't really know what they chose.
Oh, right. You wouldn't know till today.
Not everybody did Zoom.
Right.
So we knew the kids that were on Zoom, but we didn't know what happened to a good majority of his other friends.
Sure.
So we weren't sure, I'm like, well, you know what? It's been so long. It's been 18 months.
Oh, my gosh.
I'm like, people do move and do other things too.
Absolutely.
So we don't even know if that happened during all this time, So when he went back to school, I'm like, well, he had a best friend that he hasn't seen since second grade when pandemic started.
Please tell me he was in his class.
And so when he came home, I picked him up.
Uh-huh.
So I was like, well, how was it, son? And everything. He's like, good. He gives me a little
thumbs up.
Yeah, he does his little thumbs up and everything. We're walking to the car and he's telling me all about it. I go, well, did you see Ethan? He goes, I did. And he's been dying to see Ethan, his little best friend.
That's so fun.
So he played with Ethan and they were really excited.
Are they in the same class?
No.
I'll drag.
But that's okay. They do recesses always with everybody.
Oh, yeah. And lunch and all that usually.
Yeah. So they all played and he had a great time. So today's his second day, and we'll see how it goes.
He's going to be so tired.
He was exhausted this morning.
He's going to sleep in tomorrow. You watch.
I almost had to... he was angry.
You're like, dude, get up.
I did.
Yeah,
I hate it when I have to raise my voice at him at the crack of dawn.
Course. No one likes that.
And his face was literally his eyes were so baggy.
Yes. It's what what sucks about all of this, because I know they probably have to wear little masks.
They do.
Okay. So I was Mom and I talked with her last week about some stuff, and she's like, is everybody back in school yet? And I'm like, I think it starts this week, because all of the cousins, all the kids are going back to school.
Yeah.
And I said, yeah, I think they start this week. And she's like, oh, that's great. And I go, yeah, it's gonna be really fun. Everyone's gonna get colds immediately. Even if you're wearing masks, you know how it is.
They touch things.
And they're gonna take their masks off when they're outside.
I asked Jeff when he came home, I'm like, did you wash your hands while you were at school today? He's like, no. I go,
what?
All day you didn't wash your hands?
Don't they have sanitizer?
I guess, but I don't know. I was just annoyed.
That's shocking.
Well, and then I was like, you know what? This is on you, son. I'm like, you're almost 10. I'm like, you know about Corona. I'm like, you need to wash your hands.
That's right.
Even if you just do it once, I want you to wash your hands.
Especially after recess. Or peeing.
Before lunch.
Whatever,
I was like, because you're going to be eating and putting things in your mouth and stuff. And so.
It's true.
He's like, fine, I will. Gosh. He's like, well, I'm in the bathtub now, so I'm clean.
Yeah,
like,
thanks.
Yeah, it's like 8 o'clock, you know?
Thanks for washing all the grime of the day off now.
Yeah, I'm sure you didn't touch your face at all today. Yeah,
laying all over everything while we were eating and dining.
Well, he did go to summer camp, so I'm hoping, and he did get a cold when he went to summer camp.
I know.
So
maybe
I don't know.
he has a little immunity.
I'm hoping.
From that.
Yeah.
Everyone's gonna get it. Everyone's gonna get sick. The kids.
It never used to give me anxiety, and now it just it literally shakes me to my core.
No, I hate it. But you know what? Honestly, the risk outweighs the benefit, or the benefit outweighs the risk of kids. They had to go back to school.
No, absolutely.
I agree. They had to go, and I'm so glad. At least where we live, you know, they're super safe, but they're aggressively like, no, we're all going to school, you know.
Yeah,
and it's
they
great.
are.
I mean, every level of school is in, and it's wonderful. And I'm so
a lot of
happy.
the other districts they've been in.
I know. Well, they start early.
Yeah, one of the things with my job, they're like, you're still on this alternative schedule. Like, why are you the only one? I'm like, my district is not back yet.
No, they're super conservative.
Yeah, I mean, there's still Sacramento Unified, which is another district where we live. They are traditional, so they don't go back till after Labor Day.
You know what? I miss those days.
Yeah, I do too.
Why don't we do that anymore?
I don't know. They stopped. I don't even know why they stopped doing that.
Well, that's a good transition because I was thinking whenever back to school comes, you know, I haven't had to send a kid to school in a few years. Like my last one graduated in 2018 or 2017 or so. I don't remember. I literally don't even know anymore.
Yeah.
No, 2019. It doesn't matter. Anyway.
At least a couple years ago.
Yeah. What's great is that, you know, we had this tradition as the kids got older is the first day of school, they'd all go, and then Daryl and I would go out for breakfast.
Yeah.
Get a mimosa and, you know, hang out and just be like, oh, we made it through another summer. You know,
yeah, and it's quiet. The kids are gone for 8 hours.
It's never long enough.
I know.
It's never long enough on the first day of school because
first day of school now is minimum days, right?
Yes.
Why do they do that? Is it just because it's easier? Like it's their first day back, and you know,
they're easing them into it. I don't know.
And they start them on a Thursday.
Always.
It's like why?
I don't know. It's true that they do that though. But then you know, I was thinking about it. I'm like, you know, I don't know what our parents did when they were probably just so glad to get us out of the house.
Oh, can you imagine, Mom?
She's just like
because we all went, with the exception of Paula.
Yeah, that's true.
Probably took a couple years before Paula was in school.
That's true. But even before, I mean, even so, she was probably relieved. I maintain that as treacherous as our childhood was, our mom is exhausted from raising us.
Oh, I am
We
sure.
are so difficult. We were so high maintenance children. And so it's like, whatever. I mean, we were funny as hell though, right?
Oh, yeah.
But we were
said she used to laugh at
precocious
us all the time.
We were quite precocious. It's amazing what trauma does to you, isn't it? It's just funny enough. Anyways,
keep yourself sane.
I was thinking, and so Mom told me
I was listening to Hell is for Children from Pat Benatar this morning, and I was like,
Hell is for children.
Yes, you're damn right.
I love Pat Benatar. I absolutely love her. No, I was thinking, it just literally came out of my brain out of nowhere. I was thinking about, I don't remember, it's like I have dark memories of it, but not a full vivid memory like I normally do, because I have a pretty good memory.
You do.
But
crazy.
Mom was reminding me of my first day of kindergarten.
Oh.
And she goes, well, first of all, we knew you were really smart, and so you had a tutor before you even went to school, before you were reading. So when you went to kindergarten, you were way advanced. And so, because nobody, back in those days, they didn't teach kindergartners how to read. You learned how to write your name and numbers and colors and shit. It was not advanced.
Because you didn't go to pre-K and you didn't go to
pre-K.
Yeah,
but yeah, it was like...
It took a minute before we did all that.
They didn't raise the bar for kindergartners until 20 years ago.
Yeah.
So anyway, she said, yeah, your first day of school was quite traumatic. I'm like, it was? And she goes, yeah. She goes, we went to school and, you weren't necessarily... You were the only child and your sister was a baby, so you didn't have a lot of socializing and stuff like that. So you're in a class of 25 kids, and you're just curious, look around. You're sitting on the carpets. Everybody had their own little carpet square, and you're sitting on the carpet.
Do that.
Teacher's talking, and there's a girl sitting next to you.
Oh, did you punch her or something?
And she was kind of chubby.
Oh no!
And she had really, really red cheeks, really red cheeks, just those Norwegian people that have super and they're really red, and they were big and red cheeks, and you turned and you bit her cheek.
Jamie.
And I said, well, did I say why I did it? She goes, yeah, the teacher, because you bit hard, and the teacher's like, why did you do that? And I said,
God, why did you do that?
Apparently I said because it looked like an apple.
Okay.
And I wanted to know.
That makes perfect sense.
And I wanted to know if it was an apple.
But you knew, okay.
I got sent home immediately
First day of
They
kindergarten?
said, you're not ready for kindergarten. So they sent me home. And Mom was just like, I don't even know how to respond to any of this. Like, she's never bitten anyone in her life.
Well, right. And well, I mean, to be fair, you were the firstborn. I was too little. We didn't play or anything.
You were like 18 months old.
Yeah. And
if we played, it was not that.
Right. So, and this would have been Mom's first experience with a school-age child.
That's right.
And she was quite young. And
yes. So I got sent home immediately, and then they allowed me to return, but I had to apologize to the girl.
Yeah, of course.
Obviously. And then from that point
her parents
on...
must have been
Can you imagine?
furious.
Can you imagine if the school's like, well, I don't really know how to say
If Lauren
this.
came home with a bite on her cheek, or Tyler?
I can't.
Oh my God.
I can't.
And it's like, how can you, as a parent, how do you really get mad at another 5-year-old? You know, you're like,
do. Oh, they do.
You little brats.
They do. They're like, you keep her away from my child.
Yeah.
Which I'm sure is what happened. But I do remember looking at her cheek. I remember looking. I don't remember biting. And I do remember apologizing as a 5-year-old.
God, Mom made us do that a lot. I wonder why
We did a lot of bad things.
Because, I remember having to apologize quite a bit as a young child.
You did.
Young child.
Very young.
Like
you
6,
will say,
7.
Apologize. It's like, sorry. It's like, we're so... I don't know, man. We push the boundaries a lot. And they're like, this isn't what we do.
Yeah, I don't get it. Well,
We just think out of the box anyway, so who cares? You know, they're like, no, this is not appropriate. Well, yeah. Is biting violent? I guess it is.
I mean, yeah.
I suppose. But anyway, I do
Well, I mean,
remember
you know
that.
what? Tyler and Lauren went through the biting phase.
All kids do, but I mean, 5 is a little old for that.
Yeah, that's true.
usually
Because I
young.
remember Tyler would bite Lauren, and
was
they
like
were like
2
they were
years.
little.
Yeah.
But the thing is when they're that age, their teeth are brand new.
Oh, so they're like puppy teeth.
And they were strong and sharp, and he would hurt her. And I would get
not
so
cool.
angry.
I'm gonna tell him. I'm like, you owe your cousin an apology.
No.
He'll be like, what? I'm like, you used to bite Lauren. He'd be like, I did not.
You know, because when they were so little, they're only 5 months apart.
I know.
But when they're 1 and 2, and they're 5 months apart,
It's a lot. It
He was
feels-
more advanced.
Sure,
Yeah, he was
sure.
older, and that makes a big difference when you're tiny. 5 months is a lot.
First day of school sucks. I can't tell you how many times I would go to school sick to my stomach.
I hated going to the
Did
first day of
you?
school. Well, yeah, nothing about our life was ever pleasant.
First day of schools were the worst, though.
Yeah.
I never liked the way I looked. I hated all my clothes because you want to wear your new clothes that you got at Mervyn's, but it's 100 degrees.
That's true.
And so you're wearing a sweater because it's
Yeah,
new.
yeah. Oh
You're
my
like,
God.
why? Why am I? But I'm not the only one. You see those dumb boys wearing hoodies that their parents paid $80
I was like,
for.
I don't know what it was about me. I don't know if
100-degree
it's-
weather.
Yeah, it's because I'm a smartass or what. But I mean, I was, I had friends.
Yeah.
And I was always in the semi-popular group.
Yeah, you were.
Not in the right one, but I mean, like, I should have been with the jocks and the cheerleaders, and I wasn't interested in that, I mean, I was, but
You're like, I don't relate.
I didn't really fit in.
Yeah.
I wasn't a goodie. I didn't
Yeah.
get perfect grades, and I wasn't striving for goals and all that
Yes,
stuff. I should have been.
Athletes get great grades.
Well, you had to maintain a C average, right?
Or you have to have coaches for teachers, but yeah. Anyway.
Yeah. Anyway, so I don't know. It was never a happy place for me.
No, you know what? School has not been ideal ever for us. I never enjoyed it. I always, first of all,
stressful for me.
It was stressful, but we were also bored. And you know what? Realistically, our parents did not have they didn't take a lot of value in school.
That's true.
They're like, we come from the life of hard knocks.
It was a place for us to go to be away from them.
Yeah,
So
that's
they
true.
insisted that we go.
It got so bad at one point. I remember writing my own excuses, my notes.
I think we did it for each other.
Please excuse Jamie from class. She was not
I
feeling
had
well
mom's
today.
signature down.
So did I.
Yeah.
I
Because
had-
mom and I write very similarly.
I stopped asking mom for signatures because I knew I could just do it
Yeah, we did.
forever. Yeah.
Back in the day when we were in school, they used to call home if you were absent from a period.
Oh, we would answer each other's
Yeah,
phones. Oh,
I'm like, it was like the
Hello, this is
dumbest
her-
sister.
This is her mother. And they're like, yeah, is Stephanie?
It was a recording. This is the Casa Roble Fundamental
Oh
Attendance
my
Line.
God.
Calling to say Jamie Campos was absent for one or more periods today. And for me, it was
Please call and
daily.
excuse. Please call and excuse. Yeah. I remember.
Yeah, it was often.
God. And then after a while, mom's like, why am I getting sermon notices?
I was just late. I was there. She just didn't mark me down because I got there
yeah.
late. And she's like, okay.
She's like, if I have to go to school court to talk about your truancy, I'm going to be mad. And I'm like, well, I mean,
She had to do it for me.
She did?
Yeah.
How'd it go?
That's when they sent me to...
they sent you to continuation.
Yep. It was my sophomore year.
Oh, my God.
So I literally barely went to school at all my sophomore year.
And they're like, get out!
And it finally took that long. I'm like, well, that was not that bad. And
you know, the problem that is, you know what sucks, too, is that we're really smart.
Oh, my God. My teachers were furious. They were like, I don't get it.
Yeah, they're like, why are you doing this to
I was
yourself?
in honors, everything.
I know.
And they were like, this kid is so smart, and yet she is just fucking up constantly.
Yeah.
And where are your parents, by the way?
They're like, working.
Yeah, my dad would show up in his scrubs from the shop and some shitty old car. And,
Yeah, doing a test drive.
or he'd send Wendy.
Ew!
God, I hated it when he did that.
Yeah, oh no, I'd be like, oh God. He couldn't
hated
even
that
bother to
bitch.
show you were coming.
Yes, and our school was like a minute from his work.
I don't even know why her name came up, but I called her a whore the other day.
She is a whore.
I know, and I'm like, I stand by that.
I
actually.
enjoy calling her names. The filthiest, most...
stand by that.
Yeah, stepmother, by the way, if you guys didn't know.
Ex-stepmother.
Yeah, ex-stepmother.
God, she's so disgusing. Anyway, yeah. So welcome back to school, kids. Hope you're having a great time, parents.
Yes.
Hope you're getting
Congratulations,
your
parents.
Your quiet coffee. Although I know some of us, obviously, I think a lot of people would be really emotional that they're letting their kids go, regardless of what the rules of
I've
school
been
are.
having anxiety about it. That may be why I was like a little emotional today too.
Yeah.
Regardless.
There's a lot going on. I mean, the thing is like the one thing we never talked about the Olympics, you and I, on the show. But the one thing
we did a little that we talked about Simone Biles.
We did. You're right.
Soon Lee.
You're right. We did. But the point is that to me that really showcased what the pandemic is doing to people's mentality. Like it's affecting everybody.
Absolutely.
And, you can find your laughs and you can live your life daily and not really think of it. But there's this constant pressure that never leaves. And it's because you're literally surviving a pandemic.
Well, and
it's
I think
insane.
Right now I'm going through a new set of emotions because the world has decided that pandemic is over. You know, it's not over, but it is over. So at work, everything's going back to normal.
Right.
All the contingencies and the exceptions that they've made for us in the last year and a half are all going away. Mm-hmm. So I've been working this funny schedule. I've had a lot of time off this last year, and now that's all ending in a week.
And you're a little anxious.
So I am. I'm just like, how am I going to handle being at work and gone 10 hours a day, Monday through Friday, every single week? And I have been home. Yeah, and my son's having anxiety about it.
You know what's nice, though? It's nice that you even had that time with him because...
Oh, my God.
I
like in the beginning, I felt guilty about it. Yeah. I mean, and some of my friends have managed better than I have, but we all have different situations.
Oh, yeah.
They may or might have more support. They have more family and stuff like that. But for me, I've been like, you know what? The one thing I will take away from this pandemic is I got to see my son when he was 7, and now he's 9, and he's almost going to be 10. And I never would have been home with him this much.
I know, it's great.
And I'm so grateful for it.
And you know what I really like about you, too, about that, is that you were so present every day.
Oh, yeah.
Literally every day.
Well, and I think that's why I'm sad.
Well, why wouldn't you be?
Because I don't get to do it anymore. And that's why some people I know in our family who are lucky enough to, not you. No, not you. That still have school-age children and can do that, but choose not to.
Yeah.
Or they're even if they're physically present, they're not mentally present. And I'm like, you are so dumb. But maybe it's because you and I have raised grown children already.
Yes, we know how short that time is.
So short. Yeah. And for me, it was 20 years in between me having children. So I had a kid, and then 20 years later, I had another one. And so now I'm like, you know what? I know how this goes.
Yes, it goes fast.
And it's going to go so fast. I'm going to miss him so much. Like I miss Lauren so much now.
It is crazy. I don't remember who I was telling this to. I think it was Paula. I was telling her, I said, Ryan's going to start high school, and then you are going to, but before you know it, they're going to be like, okay, so graduation is in 6 months. And the next thing you know, he's like, oh, Mom, I'm going to college, da-da-da-da.
Whatever.
I mean, it goes so fast. And they start prepping for college,
now.
Sophomore year.
Yeah.
So suddenly you're like, why am I thinking about college? You're only 16. It's like, because I graduate in 2 years.
Right. And Lauren graduated when she was 17.
Right.
So she was really young.
No. Mine all graduated at 18. But yeah.
Because of her birthday, that's the way.
It just goes so fast. So staying present. And I drilled this into my kids. I did because I said, please learn from my mistakes. Stay present. Stay involved in school. make your friends, go to all the games, go to all the rallies, get involved in the clubs, because you know what? It doesn't even have to be athletics.
Yeah.
Find something, because you will make friends, you will be busy constantly, and you'll have something to look back and go, oh God, that's right, I did that. I remember that was so great,
Totally.
or whatever. I said, you stay present. The parents get to stay present too, but I mean, the kids have to stay present and not be so distracted.
Well, we're not present as far as like school.
No, I mean,
we're present as far as being in our kids' lives.
That's what I mean.
On the daily.
Being in the moment.
But for them,
yeah.
they're not going to be like, I need to fondly remember this time with my mother.
No.
No. But we are like, I need to fondly remember this time with my child.
That's how we're staying present. But it's like, for them, like, Mackenzie, for example, she has a lot of regrets. She's just like, I'm so mad. She's like, I should have gone to Hungary for polo, like, when you offered it. Like, because I offered her to go with this travel team and she was given the opportunity. And she said no. And because kids say no to everything.
Because everything seems like work.
And it's just like, oh, no, Mom, that constantly happens.
Totally.
And she's like, I should have done that. I should have done this. I'm like, well, shoulda, woulda, coulda, but you did everything else. So it's fine.
And she's living her best life now, by the way. I mean,
right. But
it's still not too late because she's still young. And
I just remember,
but I get it.
I just remember begging them. I'm like, you have no idea. I go, I'm so jealous of you. You have the best parents, because my parents would never have said, go to Hungary. They would have been like, thank God you don't want to go to Hungary.
Because that would be expensive.
Yeah, it's a completely different generation. Yeah. And we're way more like, no, you have to take advantage. High school, or there's nothing like it after. Yeah. Like high school is a very different time.
Yeah, what I keep telling, I told this to Lauren, and I will eventually tell it to Jeff, but I was like, this is your time to not have responsibility.
That's what I said.
Other than like doing your homework and stuff like that.
Yeah, no rent, no bills,
I'm like, it's
nothing.
the easiest your life will ever be. You have the rest of your life to work your fucking ass off,
right?
And be stressed out.
It's true.
Because that's pretty much how it's going to go for the next 60 years. Yeah.
Forever. So take advantage. I know. I try to tell people, and even if you have shitty parents, you could still do it.
You can. It takes a lot of self-motivation.
Well, you got to get a lot of rides.
Yeah, you do. I mean, I have regrets. Major regrets.
Do.
Yeah, I mean, if I should have taken the opposite approach. Like, you know what? I had this shitty life. I had this shitty childhood. No one cares if I'm
kick ass in school.
I'm just going to do it. I mean, I've seen these stories. We've all seen them.
Of course.
About kids who were homeless or had to leave home because their houses were so abused, and then ended up being, Pi Beta Kappa, and graduated with honors, and they went decided to Harvard, and
they want to break the cycle.
Yeah. Like, why didn't I do that?
I don't know.
Fool.
The only thing I regret about school is that I could have been a 4.0 student.
Absolutely.
The whole time.
You could have done anything you wanted to do.
Yeah, it was so stupid. Like, why did I phone it in? And I literally phoned it in. I think it was because I was bored, mostly. But
I think it was because we had so many distractions and so many things to deal with in our personal life. But school was exhausting.
It's just so annoying, because I'm just like, I'm literally as smart as anybody.
Absolutely.
It was
smarter.
It was not even hard. And I know I'm not a lot of people are like, oh, me too. I didn't do anything.
We all did that. Yeah.
But
not all, but some of us.
I would have loved to have done that and gone to school, like college.
Oh my God. Do you ever look at some people that you know from high school on Facebook, and they're really, really successful or whatever, and you're like, God, I didn't necessarily see that from that person when we were going to school. But they really they weren't even necessarily like overachievers, but they just did it. They did school. Through. Yeah. And I'm like, but those are the people that I also see are still close with their families. They are.
Yeah, no, you're
like,
right.
They have extended families. They do reunion, they look genuinely close as a family.
That's true.
I'm sure that wasn't new. That was probably happening when they were children and in school and everything. That's right. So
they weren't the first person to go to college.
Right.
Yeah, I got it.
I mean, like, here's the thing.
It's true.
We didn't go to college. Well, you did, but
I did.
But at the same time, I already recognized the value of pushing that onto Lauren and now Joel, Jeff, yes, to make sure that they understand how important it is and what a priority is. And now somebody could have done that for me. Yeah. It would have cost her nothing
to just say, hey.
Or him nothing. To just be like, you know what?
You need a trade. You need an education.
No, Mom was like, go to hair school. Go to...
Well, the thing is,
I'm like, if I had a kid like me, I'd be a fucking doctor.
Be a lawyer.
Like, do something really... You'll make a shitload of money, and you'll be happy.
Yeah, the thing is that the one thing that did humble me having 4 kids with very, very different views is, of the 4 of them, there's probably only one that would have done really, really well going to a traditional college. The other ones are so goddamn artistic.
Yeah.
You know, and I'm like, but do that.
Fine.
And they're doing it.
Yeah.
You know, they're doing it, which is great. But I'm all about higher education, no matter what it is, whether it's being a plumber, an electrician,
Agreed.
a doctor, a lawyer, whatever. Traditional college is not what it used to be.
No, and it's not for everybody. I get it.
But if you need it, just the proof that you got through is sometimes all they want.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Like bachelor's degrees, I mean, those are almost a dime a dozen now. Now
Yeah.
you almost have to have a master's degree to get somebody's attention. You know, I mean, yeah, it's
Sounds like
crazy.
work.
It's a lot of work, but it can be done.
Yes, it can.
Because
Anyway.
I know many people in my career who have done it.
Whoa, I gotta go back to school again. Dun, 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 dun,
Oh my God, I might have to watch that now.
Dun. I love that movie. I was thinking about that the other day. I was like, I should watch Grease. It's 'tis the season.
It came on randomly the other day, and I just left it because there was nothing on, and I was cleaning and stuff, so I wasn't like sitting there watching it. Next thing, here's Jerry sitting on the couch. He's like laughing and stuff, and I'm like, this movie is great, right?
I love Grease. I like Grease too, also.
I love it.
Anyway, all right. So speaking of celebs, there's so much celeb news. Oh my God, there's so much. Let's just start quickly going down our bullets. Very first and foremost, Christina Applegate, one of my favorites, has multiple sclerosis.
That made me sad.
Doesn't it feel like a lot of celebrities have these weird?
I don't know. Yeah, I was thinking that too. I'm like, I don't know if it's their lifestyle.
No, it's an immune disorder.
Okay.
It's an immunity.
Yeah.
But what I'm wondering is, we're so saturated with celebrity that it just feels like everyone's
But really,
got something.
yeah,
But
right.
it's just that we just know so many famous people.
That it's inevitable, just percentage-wise.
Yes.
But I do also believe that people in the entertainment industry have to do things to their bodies to keep visually appealing, especially women.
I'm wondering if that triggers stuff.
I don't know. I mean, because we don't know to the extent that they go through.
That's
I mean,
true.
I know that
To stay thin and hungry.
to stay thin. A lot of these celebrities,
They're so
they do
hungry.
these IV drips with vitamins. I mean, do we even know what that does to you?
I know,
it's not
right?
natural. I know it sounds like, oh, it's good. It's good. It does this and that, and I'm like, yeah, but it's not natural.
Michael Phelps was talking about the shit he has to go through when he has 2 races in one day.
Oh, I can't
As a
even imagine.
world-class athlete, he'll swim his heart out, come out. He goes, and if I don't have the ability to continue swimming like slow warm down, cool downs in the pool, which I've seen a million times because of our children, they do vitamin B shots. He has to eat potassium stuff. Like they are replenishing constantly.
Right.
And when you are a size 0 and you can't really over exercise because you
can't.
don't have any fuel.
Right.
Like, what are they doing? I mean, there was a time when all of those actresses looked like bobbleheads for a reason.
Yeah.
There was no fat on them. And,
Right.
and those women who try to have children when they have no body weight.
They never can.
They can't get pregnant.
I mean, all these
They do
celebrities have to do IVF.
And then they get breast cancer.
Yeah, I mean,
Like,
it's just
crazy.
it's a cycle. Yeah, so I'm just.
And Christina Applegate had breast cancer.
She did. And I'm not necessarily saying that MS.
No.
But I'm just saying, like, for me, I think you're right. I think that percentage-wise, it just seems like a lot of people that we love to watch on TV are getting these diseases, but there are so many of them.
I just think it would be great if we weren't punishing our bodies to stay on TV. Like, couldn't they just be their normal selves?
Yeah, absolutely. But I also don't like it when we go to the other end of the gamut and we're having these obese celebrities being praised for their body.
No.
Oh, she's beautiful just the way she is. She's 300 pounds. That's not healthy.
No, it's very healthy.
I'm sorry. Her heart can barely squeeze out a beat. Tell me that she's beautiful. Yes.
She is beautiful.
I mean,
but
I'm not saying she's not beautiful,
really unhealthy.
but yes. I'm like,
well, and that's the thing.
God.
It's like, but it would just be nice to see what would happen if Hollywood didn't have these standards, or fashion didn't have these standards where they had to be a sample size to be recognized. One of the most famous stylists in LA, Rachel Zoe. I love her, but I mean, she is so tiny. And is that her normal? Is that who she is?
We've talked about this before, but look at Giada De Laurentiis.
Giada's a bobblehead.
She is disgustingly thin,
and she doesn't eat.
She doesn't even have any meat on her lips, and her teeth are like all teeth.
She's so hungry, and she's Italian.
Exactly.
Come on.
Yeah, that's why I am just really grown distasteful of her.
I just wish we weren't doing that. I wish there was somebody to go, you know what, I don't give a shit what size you are. We'll make it work. Come on, guys. You know, I mean, it would be great if they're just talented would be nice. You know?
And I mean, I'm not about, I know there's a lot of people who are like, you know what, they're just naturally thin. I was naturally thin forever.
Yeah, then you have a baby and you get a woman's body.
But yeah, I did. And you mature. And I'm like, okay, when you're in your 40s and you're still 90 pounds, that's not by accident.
No, you're literally not eating.
Exactly.
Yeah, or you're getting lipo or whatever you're doing. I don't know.
Well, we talked about Juliana Rancic, too. She's also had breast cancer.
I've seen her teeth fall out on camera.
Are you serious?
Yes. Dead serious.
Oh, my God.
She does not eat. She was eating oatmeal. It was when they had that reality show with her husband.
Oh, yeah, Bill and Juliana.
Yeah, and she was eating oatmeal, and they're like, haha, talking. She's like, holy shit, my tooth just fell out. And I'm like, girl!
Oh, my God. Yes, she is so thin.
That is not okay. That's not funny. God. That's like, I think I need some vitamins.
And by the way, she's Italian, too.
I know! What's going on?
They're not fat or anything. They're normal. So I'm like, what are you? Oh my God!
Just the desire to look good on camera. It just sometimes goes a little crazy.
I taped there's a new Karen Carpenter documentary that just came out.
Daryl hates the Carpenters with such a passion.
What?
Hates them. When the Christmas music comes out, he's like,
yeah, he'll hear it. Go to town.
He'll hear it. He's like, absolutely not, and he'll change it.
Oh, so it's the music.
Paula will torture him. She's like, look what's on, Daryl. Candlelight. Paula. She'll be like, candlelight, something in the snow. And he'll be like, stop it, shut up. He's like, I hate it. He's so triggered by the Carpenters.
So it's the music. Well, for me, it's not the music. It's her story.
Of course.
That's interesting.
That's a wacky family.
Are they?
Oh, yes.
Well, I'm looking forward to watching it because it's brand new, and so I'm hoping that they're going to be a little bit more honest about...
Well, nowadays, I mean...
Well, because the movie that came out about her, it's, 30-something years old?
Let's leave no stone unturned. I want to know all the tea on Karen Carpenter now.
Well, I mean, we pretty much know it.
I want to know.
But but I didn't know anything about the family.
Oh, they're fucked up.
I didn't know.
Oh, yeah, they're hardcore fucked up. Okay, and then the second thing is, so forever, I don't really talk about it a whole lot, but I'm a huge fan of Kathy Griffin.
I hate her. Okay, go.
I love her reality.
I don't hate her for the reasons you think I do.
No. I loved her reality show. She was hilarious.
Yeah, I did watch it.
She was hilarious with her mother.
She was.
She's dated some unusual dudes, which I love. Oh, yeah, she dated Steve Wozniak. From Apple.
Who the fuck is that?
Steve Jobs' right-hand man. I mean, she's dated some really unusual fellas, and I don't know who she's with now. She's with a boyfriend now, but anyway. And she was married.
She was married?
She was married to a guy who just basically embezzled from her, and then she left him and all that shit. But anyway, she has lung cancer.
I saw that.
And she had surgery immediately.
Stage 1.
And so she immediately, and she's utilizing Instagram to kind of do the play-by-play because she's terrified.
Well, I think she's terrified, but she's had a very hard time coming back from the Trump thing.
From the Trump thing?
And I don't know why, because the world hates Trump.
It was the least offensive thing.
I'm just saying, I don't get it. I really don't get it. But
I don't either. I think it just hit at a wrong time, and so everybody's triggered. But there's been so much worse
since then.
I mean, so it's like, why? But it's just like with any canceled stand-up comedian, by the way, they aren't canceled. They're still working and making a shit ton of money. They're just not on social media anymore.
Yeah.
Like the old days.
But I mean, social media, you got to admit, it does open the doors and get you endorsements and all kinds of things.
Absolutely.
So,
but she is a millionaire.
Chrissy Teigen's trying to come back too. Have you noticed?
Chrissy Teigen can suck my dick.
Oh, I thought you loved Chrissy.
No. After everything everything I've read, and I've listened to a lot of people who work behind the scenes, and I know they're like, I don't understand. I really like her. She's really great. Like, she's really great to you in the moment that you're there. But in general, first of all, we can blame her alcoholism. That's fine.
Is she an alcoholic?
She says she's sober now. So, I mean, she's pulling out all the stops.
Maybe she's blaming, like, I only did these tweets when I was intoxicated.
She never said that. She just said, I'm sober now. No more white wine for me. And I'm like, of course you drink white wine. Right. What a surprise.
Ew.
Anyway, and she's really just, she cannot not be by John Legend's side at any and all times.
Right.
Like, she's always
they're even doing
there.
The paparazzi strolls now.
Oh, they're doing it all. They're trying real hard to bring her back. And I'm like, she was a fucking model. Just let her be a model and let her be an influencer and do whatever she wants to do.
Her ego just can't accept that people really just don't want her
No
anymore.
one gives a shit.
Yeah,
and
they're over it. Like, every time they post, I have the TMZ app. I have the cheesiest.
Yeah.
those.
It's your thing. You love it.
I do love it.
Yeah,
and so
that's why they're there.
Right. I'm addicted. It's like looking at the National Enquirer when you're in line at the
reality
grocery store.
television.
I
It's
know,
the same.
right?
Yes.
So, yeah, I totally lost my thought anyway.
Kathy Griffin. And so, but that's the point, is that she's got cancer. She's going to survive it, it appears. They got it all out. She's got one lung now, and she's just really running with it. She's like, I really need I need some dark humor to get me through this. I'm like, oh, mission accomplished. You'll find it, because, I mean, I love that shit. I love dark humor. So she's going to do great. I hope. And so I'm following her, and I'm really into it.
Yeah.
Really quick, the Britney update, which happened last night, is Jamie Spears has officially said that he will step down as conservator.
He did.
Him and his attorney, I think they're filing some paperwork.
He didn't do it gracefully, by the way.
No, he's an asshole. Yeah. Of course he is.
He trashed her. He trashed the wife.
Everything. He went out. He went out of his way.
He's like, I've never done anything. This is ridiculous.
But what's great is that once he officially steps down, he will no longer be able to pay himself hundreds of thousands of dollars a month, which pleases me greatly.
Me too.
That's, for me, that's that and the fact that...
Well, I mean, and the fact that this is what she's wanted for so long.
And no one's allowed it, because she had a shit attorney.
Yeah. Well, and she couldn't even pick her own attorney.
Now
she did.
Now she's got an amazing attorney.
She does. He
so
does.
Happy.
So, yeah, and the judge who denied her emergency conservatorship hearing is getting death threats. I'm like, okay, people, calm down.
Judge Penny is a cunt, but
I agree.
She's probably doing things the correct way, and
she's
nobody
probably like,
likes
I am not going to do anything for this to go through appeal, or for me to get sued, or whatever.
Whatever they do, she's like, we're staying on course. He was probably strongly advised to step down if he wanted to have any semblance of anything after this,
right?
Which is why I'm sure there's money involved. There's gonna be,
of course,
he's gonna get paid off, and that's why he did.
Maybe there's a contract, that says if he steps down or whatever.
My guess is that the attorneys negotiated and said, look, if he steps down now, he'll get a cool mil or a couple mil to walk away, and that way he has something to live on and whatever, because he's not employable. No one's gonna give him the time of day when this is over.
Just crawl under his rock and her sister, I mean, have you changed your tune? She's a fucking bitch, and she's insane. Yeah, well, her coming out and having her filming her daughter saying, it's okay, mommy. I'm like, are you serious? Pathetic. I'm like, and why do you care anyway? What I mean, she's not famous. Isn't she married to someone who's like semi-famous?
She was famous. In fact, there was video.
For a minute.
There was, well, she got pregnant by one of the producers of Zoe 101 or whatever show she was on.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, her daughter is the product of some adult fucking a 16-year-old, essentially. Ugh. So no one talks about it, but that's exactly what happened.
Ew.
Anyway, so she's got her own life to live, but I mean, her source of income is leaving the stage. I mean, she was getting paid by Britney's estate. Oh. So I mean, she's done.
Yeah.
And so
she doesn't have royalties from the Disney shit she did.
She probably does. And I know she has some stuff in the works, but I mean, they're probably just like, you need to shut the hell up if you want to continue working. Stop with this. Like, you're really making this difficult for us. I don't understand.
Well,
social
the Spears family
tempting.
has some issues.
You think? God, you thought our family had issues.
Well, the difference is they just have a whole shit ton of money. And
they also aren't doing, you know what? Britney's dad is no longer going to be the conservator. I'm really pleased. And that's all I have to say about that. So glad.
Well, and Britney looks happy as a motherfucking clam.
She looks happy and she looks relieved. And I know that her Instagram makes her look a little loose cannony. Yeah. But you know what?
Well, I mean, none of us are going to deny that she openly has mental health issues.
She admits that she has mental health issues.
But she's not to the point of needing someone to control her every move in her life and her body.
I maintain that the reason she looks so cuckoo is because she's been micromanaged for 13 years and being forced to perform like a monkey.
Maybe now that she's in control of, she can choose her own mental health team,
everything,
her own therapist, her own psychologist, and get herself to a place where, because you have to be a willing participant in your
you can't
health.
Just be dragged around going, go to this place, go to that place, and that's why she's just like, I'm not doing any more.
She's done exactly what she's been forced to do, and not anything more.
Nope.
So now, if she's in control, maybe she'll be an active participant and a willing participant.
She will,
and she'll get better,
and
as good as she can be.
I have 2 words for you. Kanye West.
Right?
It can't be any worse than that.
I mean, this man is flying on a thing with a freaking hosiery sock on his head, in a red puffy, like, windsuit.
Gap jacket. It's over.
Like he's God rising to heaven. He's like, oh.
The man is being celebrated, and he is unmedicated bipolar and doing just fine.
And who's buying this shit? I mean,
Britney can handle her shit if he can.
Thank
okay,
you.
I mean, this is just so ridiculous.
Yeah. And that fool's a billionaire, for Christ's sake.
And she would be too, by the way.
Yeah, if she hadn't been sucked dry by every leech out there.
You know what? And I think she will be. I think she will ultimately be a billionaire.
She's clearly maintained her body and her dance skills. I know she can still sing, and
I cannot wait to hear what her sound is when she doesn't have all of this influence from these.
Well, she's she's a brilliant choreographer,
and she's super talented. I mean,
she is.
They were showing video of her singing the Britney we know.
Yeah.
And she has a really low voice.
It's her talking voice.
She's when she sings, it's like, whoa, it's like low. And it's like, I am really curious to hear what her new album will sound like.
Well, you know, the one album I'm thinking of, Toxic, and I can't remember what the name of the album was. Was it Toxic? I can't remember. But,
Circus?
No, that wasn't Circus. Anyway, it was when she was living in Vegas and she was doing a ton of clubbing, you know. But that's some of her best music, by the way.
Blackout?
Yeah, Breathe on Me, had You're Toxic, a bunch of songs on there. But anyway, those songs are all in her low voice.
Yes, because that was her choice.
Yeah,
probably.
with the exception of the ballad that's on that song. But yeah. That's how she sings. In fact, when I was listening to her speech and to the court that day, I was like, God, her voice is so deep. It reminded me of Axl Rose, because I had never heard Axl Rose talk. Because back in the day, in the 90s, we really didn't get to see our celebs in their normal, we heard their albums, we saw their videos.
Occasional press conference, but not really.
But for the most part, we didn't necessarily know. So I remember the first time I heard him talk, his voice was so deep.
You're like, rah, rah, rah.
But he's like, yeah! That's how he sings. It was so strange.
Stephanie, I saw a video from the 80s when Skid Row was at their height.
Oh, God.
He was so sexy. I'm like,
know,
now
right?
I remember why I love Skid Row.
No, he still is, though. Do you follow him on Instagram?
I do. And apparently he's amazing at Cameo.
He is.
He's
figured out a niche.
I fucking love him.
Yeah.
Man. And he's a nerd.
He kind of is.
He collects comic
He's been married
books.
forever. His wife is, oh my God.
I thought they got divorced.
No, he's married.
Oh, thank God. Well,
she's
I'm glad.
Beautiful.
Well,
she's
of course
exotic.
She is. Look at her.
Yeah.
Look at him.
My God.
He's hot. I mean, he's a dude.
They've only been married for like 5 years.
That's okay. He did.
They have kids.
He did Phantom of the Opera after Skid Row ended, and I would have paid to go see that.
Well, his voice is amazing.
It's amazing.
Yeah. He wasn't your typical 80s hairband, no talent.
I miss 80s hairband, and all the front guys have good voices, and they were all played their own instruments.
Well, I don't know if they all did. That lead singer from Cinderella, don't know what you got.
Okay, that is not what I was talking about. I'm talking about the good ones.
Well, they were famous.
Well, they were terrible.
They still are terrible, but I don't even know if they exist or if they're probably all dead, but
I don't know.
Yeah. I was listening to
I just love hair bands.
Aerosmith on my way here this morning.
I love Aerosmith. The stuff that came out when you and I were in our 20s, I think
the song was off Pump. I'm pretty sure.
Oh, I love it.
It was Tell Me What It Takes to Let You Go. I'm like, God, I forgot how much I love this song.
I don't want to burn in paradise. I'm like,
let it go. Yes. So it was giving me the feels this morning. I'm like, OMG. I'm like, I love this song so bad.
We went and saw them.
I've seen them more than any other band. Isn't that amazing?
I have seen Aerosmith, let's see, 2-3 times.
It was Joel and I's band.
Oh, well, it was. I didn't know that.
So we've seen them like 7 times.
You and I saw Aerosmith together.
We did.
That was the day that we went to the old Arco Arena in Sacramento, and we were waiting in line, and it was like they were, for some reason... for some reason, they weren't letting anyone in, and I think it was because there was a delay in the stage setup or something, so we were all outside waiting, and it felt like 1,000,000 degrees, and I turned, and I looked at you, and I go, why do you have green legs? And you're like, what do you mean? These are black tights. I'm like, no, they are not. And you're like, what?
They were off black.
They were, oh, God.
Because Mom insisted we'd never wear black, and I listened to her like an idiot.
Never again. She's like, you didn't walk out with fishnets, man.
Well, why the hell was I wearing nylons to a rock concert?
I don't know, because you didn't need it for the tummy control. That's for sure.
No, I was like 100 pounds wet back then. Like, I was wearing a little mini skirt.
You're like, what should I do? I'm like, take them off. You're like, I can't take them off. We're in a line. I'm like, well, when we get inside. And then you actually never did. But
well, it was the light.
It was the lighting. Yeah. And in fact, when we were standing there, asked to
well, then I think everybody heard you because then you started calling me Kermit.
I know, but Then we were butt to cock up in front by the stage trying to get backstage passes.
Oh, yeah.
And we almost did. Why? What happened?
I think they picked the wrong girls.
He pointed at you, and then the guy went, "Eat," and I'm like, no! It was us! It was supposed to be us, you asshole! I do remember that. And the girl, that dumpy little girl, I'm like, you better suck cock.
You just took my fucking pass, you bitch, yeah.
God!
Yeah, but that's the thing is, like, looking back on that now, had we gotten backstage, we were such prudes.
What were we gonna do? Suck a bunch of dick? No.
Oh, God, no.
Be like,
ever!
I'll just sip this Evian in the corner and watch
They were
everybody.
like, get these fucking girls out.
It's like, who are these girls? It's
we
like,
want whores.
It was probably best.
Yeah, exactly.
Because I know that I don't just do that. I don't just suck dick.
We couldn't do it.
I wouldn't have.
Never.
Well, you'd be like, Jamie, let's do it. I'm like, really?
Oh, no, I wouldn't have done it.
No, you wouldn't have. You would be like,
First of all, I have only sucked the dicks of my husbands.
Yeah.
I mean, any boyfriend that's ever asked me, I'm like, I don't fucking think so.
It's like, you haven't earned it.
No.
Thank God.
I have to, like, love you a lot to do that.
Yeah, it's got to be something that I'm really willing to do.
As a woman, I feel like we endure a lot for the sake of pleasure. You know,
It's true.
It's like,
that's why they better be really good at foreplay if I'm going to do it.
exactly, yeah.
I told Daryl, I'm like, you know, he said something, and I said, no, you're the best sex I've ever had, hands down.
Thank God.
Hands down. And he goes, really? And I go, yeah, really. I go, I wouldn't have married you if you were bad at it. I don't care how much I loved you. I would not have married you if the sex had been bad. That's just not going to happen.
Right.
Sorry, but it's true.
Yeah.
So anyway.
Absolutely. Well, that's always how it starts anyway, isn't it? Isn't that how we always end up getting in long-term relationships, is you have some passionate...
Something works, and thank God.
It's not usually because they just have the best mind you've ever known, and...
That would not be enough for me.
No.
I mean, I would love it, but it would not be
Well,
enough.
I mean, let's be honest. And you don't get with someone initially because they're so smart and wonderful. You're attracted to them.
No, they're like, I really want to see you naked. Let's try it.
Right?
Let's try it and see what works.
Exactly.
Yeah. So we will conclude our celeb talk there, but because it's back to school, I thought I would do some Huglee and Awkward Moments this week, and then next week we'll do Ugly and Awkward Moments.
All right.
Huglee and Awkward Moments. It says, it was the first day of kindergarten for my daughter. We parents are standing in the back watching our precious littles sitting on the carpet with their new teacher. She's encouraging each child to say their name and something about their family or themselves before they say goodbye to us. Everything is adorable, and then my daughter is called on. She says her name and announces to everyone that I sleep naked.
Oh my God.
Yes. She goes, it was awkward and hilarious, and for the record, I sleep in my underwear, which I told the mom standing next to me trying to salvage the school year. But the die has been cast. I am now the naked sleeping mother. And I'm like, oh, precious children.
That is so funny.
Can you imagine? Yeah, I can't imagine, actually. I can totally imagine it. Kindergartners are very honest. They are very honest.
That's why that one scene in Kindergarten Cop when the one little boy is like, boys have a penis, girls have a vagina. I'm like, yeah, that's pretty much how little kids are.
That's how kids are. They learned that last night, and
my dad is a doctor and he looks at vaginas all day.
Exactly. And they will tell you. In fact, they will.
Right.
Okay, this one is actually really funny because it's middle school. When I was in 8th grade, I rolled my snowmobile and was really banged up. My mid and lower back were injured, and I looked like a hunchback walking around. One day in my desktop publishing class, we were all silently working when I moved a weird way in my chair. My entire lower back and pelvis popped back into place, and everything from my mid-back and below just relaxed, including my asshole. I let out an insanely loud fart that echoed off that plastic classroom chair, as they do. And at the same time, it felt so good, I let out a near orgasmic moan. Next thing I know, my teacher gets up, runs out of the classroom, and she's screaming in hysterical laughter.
Oh my God, so funny. I would die. That would never happen to me.
No, that was a boy. Girls would never.
Yeah, agreed. Never.
Girls would never. Anyway, so back to school. Have fun, teachers, with those because that's their life now.
It's the happiest I've ever seen teachers though on the meet and greet day, the day before. They were genuinely like thrilled.
Oh my God, they must have. This is what they do.
I'm sure, yeah. And granted, my son is still in elementary school, so the kids are still lovely. They're not horrible yet.
I think that every teacher was really looking forward to getting out of their house, getting to a classroom, getting set up, and seeing little faces. And even the middle school teachers, where teachers go to die, right. I'm sure.
Well, and my son's teacher for last year, who had to endure the entire third grade year of Zoom, she's been really great, but she has 3 teenagers.
Oh, God.
So I would call the office for one reason or another and be like, I'm trying to get a hold of my son's teacher. And they're like, oh, well, everybody's working from home. I'm like, she's not. She's like, oh. She goes, oh, you know what? She was literally the only teacher who was working from her classroom.
I have children. I'm here.
And I had talked to her, and I think she's like, I had to leave. I couldn't stay there.
Smart woman.
She's like, I just had to get out.
Like, get away from me! I hate you all!
She's like, I couldn't be a mother. I couldn't be a wife. I couldn't even do my job. She's like, I was going insane.
Good for her.
She's like, get away from me!
Smart girl. Very smart. And be like, you know what? I knew I liked you the day I met you.
I totally did.
That's awesome. All right. Well, everybody who has kids, enjoy your kids back to school. I hope everybody is staying safe and sane. And we will talk to you next week, yes?